You've always got to be uncomfortably close to each other as well, haven't you? Like when you're doing the chat and everything. I've seen when you're taking pictures of each other, you've got to stand a bit closer, stand a bit closer.
Yeah. What's that? Hey everyone, it's Gar, Predator of Prey Online. Thanks for coming back and watching the channel. Cheers guys. Guest in the spider room today, Mr. Guy Tansley from bugsnstuff.
And giantspiders.com.
Giantspiders.com, I do keep forgetting.
Yeah.
Guy is back in Wales to get Keith, well, bring Keith back to me really.
Yeah, he's
so
back.
He spent some time in Cardiff Museum, 3 months.
Yeah, over the summer.
Over the summer, and he's back downstairs. I'll whack some photos on the social media, show he's all good.
Yeah, he's been educating the public about snakes in Cardiff in their big snakes exhibition over the summer, so he's back.
Happy
Safe
days.
and sound.
So, Guy, as I said, three months ago he was here last, and we didn't get any filming done, did we? Because we had
too busy.
Too busy. So, guys, we're going to just discuss like 3 different spiders, and what's really special and what's good about having Guy here is that he can tell us a bit more about them in the wild. So I've never seen these spiders in the wild, but you've been very, very fortunate, and you travelled the world.
Yeah.
So we've picked 3 quite quick ones. So we've picked an African.
Yeah.
So Heteroscodra maculata. We've picked South American.
Yeah.
Ephebopus murinus. And another South American,
Yeah.
isn't it? So Peru purple.
The Avix, yeah.
Avix in general, basically, isn't it? So we're gonna. What we'll do here, it's very difficult basically to show you because obviously we're in shot, but Guy's going to provide some footage from the wild as well, and we'll link all that in, so you'll be able to see exactly basically how they are in the wild. So we want to try and replicate that as best we can in the hobby, isn't it? So we start off with Heteroscodra maculata.
Yeah.
So I can pull this one up to the. Here we go. Don't worry, you're in the screen, man. That's what's important.
Yeah, turn around and have a close look at it. Amongst all that amazing web.
Insane, isn't it?
Yeah.
So the spider's here.
Yeah, it's quite a big one. I've only experienced maculata once, and that was in Ghana. We were out there for 3 weeks, I think, searching mainly for Histocrates, but also for Stromatopelma.
Yeah.
And we didn't really expect to find Heteroscodra, to be honest, because they're more the Togo and Sierra Leone, I think. So Ghana as a field trip was really difficult. I think we only found stuff in the last week, and on the last day we actually found the 2 spiders. We found Stromatopelma and 2 locations in the botanic gardens where they've been there and recorded there for years. So we luckily found juveniles there, but nothing too big. But then we found a great spot, which I'm not going to tell you exactly where it was.
Yeah, of course.
But at night time, big adult females in the trees. I'll cut some footage in there for that. And a lot of the big trees had, and they weren't native trees as well, because again it was another type of plantation area.
So they're planted by.
So we were amazed at how well camouflaged these big adult females were out on the bark, and then we quickly realised that it wasn't actually the native trees.
Native stuff, yeah, but they just happened to adapt to it.
Yeah. So a lot of the huge females we found were far too high to get any access to them. Really high, you're talking about 25 foot up, and there's a great photograph which I'll include of Richard Gallen on Andrew Smith's shoulders, trying to get the ideal
it's a famous
photograph.
One,
yeah, standing on the shoulders of giants, as Andy called it.
From a hobby perspective, like I've been involved in bringing some of these spiders into the UK in the past.
Yeah.
We've noticed that obviously because the Togo side of it, they're not being collected there anymore.
Yeah, they're very white.
So the white big females. This is a Togo. This one's from Togo.
The ones from Ghana are
smaller,
extremely
browner.
Similar to Calceatum, Stromatopelma
Yeah,
calceatum.
exactly.
And that's initially why we thought we had just found Calceatum. But of course there's an easy way to identify them on the ventral side about if it's Heteroscodra or if it's Stromatopelma. And when we captured a decent sized female, probably not huge, not as big as the Togo stuff, but when we got it in a plastic box and I investigated on the ventral side, it was definitely, Richard confirmed it was Heteroscodra. And they were on the same trees, so we had like Stromatopelma, Calciatum and Heteroscodra maculata on the same tree.
That's cool.
And this was on the last day of the field trip.
That's insane.
So although we had an insanely bad time, Africa is notoriously hard for finding spiders anyway, but to spend 3 weeks there and find everything on the last sort of 2 days, that's really saved the trip.
Yeah.
Because morale's completely destroyed because you're there to do research and do footage, and you need to find the spiders, and we couldn't find anything. We searched for days for Histocrates up in the grasslands, but again couldn't find anything.
You've got to be thinking that by that time in the trip, you've got to be thinking this is a blowout.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
But it was saved by us finding the 2 beautiful species in the same.
Yeah, so that's what I've noticed anyway through the last kind of 10 years of the hobby, is that now when you get a wild caught Heteroscodra maculata, they're usually the smaller, browner species rather than the large white Togos from the iconic Togo.
And this female, which you'll see in the footage, was actually adult because under the bark where we found it, there was tons of spiderlings too.
Oh, nice.
So it was brilliant to actually see them.
Now, wicked, thanks man. So next spider is the Ephebopus murinus, or skeleton tarantula. Now, you've just had some success with breeding this species as well, haven't you?
Yeah, I tend to do a field trip and then I get inspired by a spider that we've seen, and I try and source a captive bred one and then see, let's have a try of this one. And I've done it this time with murinus. I've just got a second egg sac. But first time I've done them as well.
But it's on the sack now?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. This one, I can't really show you inside the tub, although you guys may have seen this female on Tom Moran's channel. So I can, obviously I'll clip into the actual female itself, but standard setup for hobby, very, very, very deep, large burrow, curving round to underneath of it, and basically standard tub of mud.
Yeah, tub of mud, but tons of silk on the surface too.
Oh yes, yeah. I can show the silk. There, you can see it. There you go. Look.
Yeah.
It's just tons and tons and tons of silk there.
Yeah, one of the easiest ones to find really because of the amount of silk. Now normally, South America, you don't really get that much silk on the burrows compared to African or Asian stuff, which is the big Asian terrestrials, which are big turret and lots of white silk to draw your attention. But these quite well camouflaged on the forest floor in the burrow, but with that white silk gives you a good indication of where they are.
And they tend to incorporate a lot of leaf litter.
Yeah, they do. But when you're searching, it's a good tip to, if you search a small area or any area, if you walk in one direction and you're looking on the floor for burrows and you don't see anything, don't give up, turn around and walk in the opposite direction, because often if the turret's facing away from you as you're walking towards it, you'll not see any silk.
No,
As soon as you turn around and go back the other way, it's huge turrets. And these are some of the most impressive burrows. Yeah, we found quite a few of them. Unfortunately, where we were staying in Suriname, it was an area which was getting ready for development. So we relocated a handful of spiders.
Try and get them out before they clear them out.
And rather than putting them back as we normally would in the same burrow that we extracted them from, we actually relocated them. We tried to dig them burrows under
for their own benefit, for the population. Them, so obviously in captivity in the hobby, we're limited as to how much room to burrow that we can. Obviously we're limited by space and tubs. So how deep do you think these go?
It depends, because obviously the last resort is to dig a spider out, and I mean you get excellent information on burrow depths and stuff like that, but with this particular species we didn't have to dig any out. And the last thing you want to do when it's like 90% humidity and like 90 degrees is start digging a hole, especially when it's in between all the tree roots going down. You don't know how it's going to twist and how it's going to disappear.
Just like if you can tickle it out,
tickling it out's the best way. And the big female we got out, which you'll see on the footage, it was luckily quite near where we were staying. So for the 4 or 5 nights we stayed there, every night we went back to the burrow and we crept up to the burrow and we shone my torch on, because you want them ideal photographs of it sitting outside waiting in ambush.
Again, so because the legs, that's the iconic thing about this spider, isn't it? So you want that photo of it just waiting
and I always remember, I always went first because at the time my camera was the best camera, so you always send one person up forward. You don't want to all rush up to the burrow because it'll just disappear. So I was standing there and shooting some really nice footage, and a lot of the footage we use, I can't use the sound because in that instance it was Paul and Michael Jacoby, who were with at the time, they got attacked by wasps.
You could just see them swearing. That would be fine on this channel.
Yeah. So I'm like, shh, you gotta be quiet. It's just there. It's just there, and they're like running around like crazy in the background.
One thing I do really like about your videos as well is the sound. Because you can just hear that either jungle sound, or you can just hear everything.
Specifically, at every location we'll stop and we'll just set the camera away and we'll just let it run for about a minute just to capture the sound.
Yeah, it's really nice.
So a lot of it's overdubbed because again, there's a lot of traffic noise. There's a lot of, we might say something inappropriate, so which is usually the case. It's quite hard to like bite your tongue when you actually see that spider that you're actually searching for, and there it is out in the wild.
How long then? Obviously, you say you're there for 3 weeks. How long before that are you planning?
Oh, it's years in advance. The Mexico field trip, Andy had been 10 years ago and doing the research just for the one that we've just made in Mexico. So that was a 10-year plan, really.
Yeah, that's obviously Andrew Smith and Guy. They are a part of a team, and they go. It's on Love Tarantulas now, isn't it?
It's Andy's YouTube team, really.
Exactly.
Andy's,
you're
Andy's
DP.
The main man.
You're Andy's DP, Fred, aren't you?
Yeah.
Director, and that's a director of photography.
It sounds a bit funny, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's not the DP that I was thinking of. But moving on quickly. So please go over to Love Tarantulas and subscribe to that. Like Andy really does need the support as well.
He does.
Yeah,
amazing,
fair play.
Amazing work.
And there's lots more coming out, isn't there? So
we're about to head off to this year's field trip, which I'm not going to talk about in any depth, but we're looking forward to that one. It should be an amazing one if we can find the spiders we're looking for.
Fingers crossed. Sound. So last spider for today, and this is a mature male Avicularia species, Peru purple. Have no idea off the top of my head what this has been reclassified to.
Yeah, me neither.
It's going to be an Avic, but what morphotype? I don't know. Probably 2 or 4 or 6.
The main footage we've got from Avics is in Suriname again, the same location as when we found Theraphosa blondi and Ephebopus murinus. But it was just on the cusp of people getting HD cameras, so a lot of the footage we've got 720p, so it's not ideal. And I know Andy's keen to go back and do more footage of Theraphosa and stuff like that. But Vic, I think, in Peru was the first tarantula I've seen in the wild. I did a more of a holiday trip back at the time, and I remember we spent a month in Peru, but we did the whole tourist thing. We did Machu Picchu, did Cusco, and then at the end we spent 10 days in the rainforest, and I was desperate to see a first tarantula. And I always remember I was in a flooded forest area of Peru, and I spoke to the guides who were with us, and I was explaining I need to see a spider, and he was going, calm down, there's hundreds of them. And I remember we actually went out at night time in a canoe and paddled through the flooded forest, and we'll shine my torches in the trees, and then they went there, it's up there, and I remember turning the torch and seeing it, this huge, whatever species it was, probably a Vic, sitting on the tree line, sitting on the bark of the tree just above the water line. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do dive down and grab stuff which is trapped on the surface of the water.
Sticks, isn't
but
it?
I remember standing up in the canoe and just nearly capsizing because I was like, my god, there it is, I've finally seen a spider in the wild.
But then when you go back, and I ask people about Avic in the wild, and they say they're everywhere. Like
they
literally,
are.
You go to the toilet and there's one in the corner of the toilet.
Which is brilliant. It's like a house spider for South America,
So like you going, I really need to see it. You probably just
after like 2 or 3 days, people are saying, there's one. I was going, No, seriously, you can't get over that first first experience of seeing them in the wild.
That's just it. Yeah, that is just it.
In Suriname, again, it was the same. The people where we were staying in there on a river resort thing, they would keep bringing us stuff and saying, we found this one, which is good. It's good to ask for help. Because the local people,
and they're all alive. They weren't like killing them first and bringing them to you.
No, but there was a guy there who was like sort of the handyman of the resort, and he was terrified of spiders. So over the 10 days we stayed in that place, by the end we got him to hold him, so he was actually holding him, and you could see he's really sort of terrified, but he's so happy that he's done it.
It's probably helped him out with his job.
Education about like not squashing them, and they're not poisonous.
No.
Everybody thinks they're dangerous. So it's all about helping the local people and helping the population of the spiders by explaining that they're not dangerous and they're beneficial in
showing by example,
education,
isn't it?
Education every
That's
time.
Awesome. Well, nice one for the footage that you haven't given me yet, but you're going to give me. And thanks for dropping in, man, and being on the camera with me.
Always a pleasure. Yeah, it's great.
I love
the new room. Yeah,
you're welcome here anytime. You know that, man.
Yeah, and thanks for Keith.
Anytime. Keith can come on holidays again. So if you don't already, I'm sure you do, go over to Bugs and Stuff. Shameless plug there. Subscribe to Guy. The stuff that's coming out is awesome, and the stuff he's done previously. I know you got like 50 videos. Yeah. Amazing. Like, comment, subscribe, and keep coming back here. Hit that bell button if you like what I do. Cheers, guys. Stay safe.
Yeah.
Ta.